do you ever say, hey, anybody want a cigarette? You're looking for somebody to respond to you, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, we talk to them. I mean, me and my friend talk to them. That's why we get some kind of little bit of responses sometimes.
Yeah, well, you know what James does.
What does he do?
James goes to the cemetery at night. He doesn't say, do you want a cigarette? He goes, anybody need a condom?
Oh, why do not say that?
That's really rubbing it in. No pun intended, right?
Yeah. James, I thought that's what you told me here this morning.
No, you must have been talking to another James. That's a good way to get STD, spiritual transmitted disease, like an attachment. I'm good with that.
Well, I thought you wanted to bring attachment home with you.
No. The attachments can stay out. They can stay in the cemetery where they belong. I'm good.
Okay. Well, I just thought I'd rub that in.
Yeah, I guess you did. Jeez. I appreciate that.
Oh, what a friend's for. Anyway, we're going to go on break, and I'm going to hear you from you, Sam.
Later on.
Yeah, later on, like the last half an hour of the show.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we'll talk to you guys later. And James, just hang on there and mute yourself.
As I gaze upon the annals of time, one thing that comes through: we are not alone in this universe. It's a thought that rings true. Ancient cave dwellers drew spacecraft on the walls. It's a recurring theme. I've seen the same thing while walking late at night, and I know it's not a dream.
From Maelstrom to Manat, Boston to LA, there are people asking questions and they will not go away. But what has been seen might not be what it seems. The government's shadows dance in the sea.
If you tell the truth, they will ridicule everything you say and do. It's all part of a deception. It's a puppet master's tool. And I've seen those craft shut down the silos from 10 miles away. And there ain't nothing that the Pentagon can do. They can make them go away.
From Maelstrom to Manat, Boston to LA, there are people asking questions and they will not go away. But what has been seen might not be what it seems. The government's shadows dance in the sea. From Maelstrom to Manat, New York to LA, you can't get the picture if they're pale or they're gray. But what we have seen might not be what it seems when the government's shadows dance in the sea.
Coming to you from some far point station, like a cosmic tumbleweed, both north and south of the Pleiades. Here's your host, Gary Anderson.
And that is me. Well, James, I want to apologize. That was a bad joke, wasn't it?
It's okay. I'd rather you do that than me waking up with a Skeletor hanging over me. That's good.
But I did set you up pretty good for it, didn't I?
Yeah, you're good like that.
Yeah. Well, let's hopefully Tobias answers here.
Hey, Gary, how's it going?
It is going good. I kind of set it up, James, and he didn't like it. I was saying, well, do you ever go to the cemetery? And why would ghost hunters go to the cemetery at night? Why don't they ask in the cemetery if they're looking to get responses, from, the departed? Hey, anybody want a cigarette? Nobody does that. And then I said, well, I heard James goes to the cemetery. He never uses the word, do you want a cigarette? He goes and says, anybody need a condom? And he didn't really think that was funny.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was crazy.
Well, I guess.
Just show a bottle of whiskey and maybe a shot glass or something. Sure.
Yeah, maybe a
dinner
and a movie first or something. I don't know. Jeez.
So how's it going, Tobias?
Good. Yeah, everything's going great. Book's coming along. We're just getting the layout finished up now, and that'll be ready for pre-order soon. So it'll be nice to have that just done. Honestly, it's a lot of work. So.
Oh yeah, now it's going to be available when you're taking what, pre-orders now on Amazon or something?
Pre-orders are going to happen through the website, and we're going to start those on Halloween. And then basically how it'll work is we'll take pre-orders through the website October 31st through November 15th. And then when people pre-order through the website, they'll get a signed copy, and we'll include a 18 by 24 poster of the cover, which is pretty cool. And then after that, starting December 1st, it will be available for purchase through Amazon.
Oh, wow. And the name of the book?
It is The Lake Michigan Mothman, High Strangeness in the Midwest.
Interesting. Yes, I noticed you posting it up on Facebook. I share it as often as I can. Also, why don't you tell the listeners about your organization that they can join?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So the Singular Fortean Society is what we do is sort of paranormal investigation and journalism on top of that, with some community building thrown in, and that's sort of conference appearances, meetups, things like that. And so if you're interested in paranormal investigation, but not just, ghosts or just cryptids or just UFOs or anything, because quite frankly, we cover, all of the breadth of paranormal phenomena quite holistically. If you're interested in all of it and sort of the interplay and interconnectedness between those phenomena, then you can definitely get more involved. And if you would like to do that, then you can visit us through social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or sign up to become an official member of the Singular Fortean Society and participate in all kinds of cool stuff with us and get behind-the-scenes info and videos and participate in live streams and all of that fun stuff by going to patreon.com/singularfortean.
Boy, since I've known you, you've really stepped up the game and you've advanced what you've been doing drastically. I hear nothing but good things about your organization. Nothing but good.
Well, that's great to hear, honestly. It's something that Emily and I work really, really hard on because we believe in it. It's something that we really take to heart because this is important to us, and every time we, advance a little bit more and get an opportunity to get out there and meet more people, it just sort of reinforces why, because really everybody we've met, from, people at conferences to, just to people that we're interacting with through social media, to witnesses who have been brave enough to come forward and speak to us, regardless of whether or not they do so, off the record as far as putting their name out there. Everybody's just great. This is one of the best communities overall that I think I've ever been a part of because, frankly, what we all have in common, I think, is so powerful that it sort of connects us in a way where, we don't really have much choice but to get, along really well, I think, honestly, for instance, I'm sure I've mentioned this plenty of times, but, one of the most common things that witnesses will always tell me is, hey, I'm so happy to have found you guys because finally I have somebody that I can talk about this with. And from my own experiences, I recognize that feeling. I felt that feeling. I know what that isolation is like. And so having that in common, I think, really solidifies this community, most of the time. I mean, obviously there's always going to be, some squabbling, but frankly, that's mostly between, so-called professionals. Whenever I'm just interacting with the regular people, like normal people who care about this stuff because, maybe something happened to them or happened to somebody they know, or even if they're just, open to the possibility, they're always great. I've yet to have a truly bad experience. So.
Well, that's interesting too. And I noticed, is it my imagination when I go on Google and go on like crazy cryptic news or cryptic monster news, there seems to be a lot more reportings lately than normal of these creatures all around the country.
Well, there could be something to that. Now, I know from talking to some of my colleagues, certainly activity seems to have picked up. It sort of ebbs and flows. And I know, talking to my friends like Lon Strickler or Timothy Renner, a bunch of guys I know sort of out in the Pennsylvania, Ohio River Valley area, or those specific areas. They have noticed, I think, really lately, and we've been talking about it for, I don't know, maybe 6 months now, about sort of this perceived increase in sighting reports just coming in. And I don't know why that is exactly. I do know that, interestingly enough, we have received a couple of new flying humanoid sightings out of the Chicago area. And those were just very, very recently, actually. This month. We had one earlier in October here, and then another one even more recently that may or may not be related. It was sort of in the northwestern suburbs, really, of the Chicago area. But that first sighting, now this one, I mean, speaking of drama, this one had it had a little bit of that, unfortunately, and I always hate to see it when it happens, but it's sort of inevitable, I think, when you've got different individuals and organizations sort of with their own biases and agendas, basically. And so this had originally come through the Mutual UFO Network CMS database. So that's their case management system. And basically what happens with that is every time something gets submitted to that CMS database, it actually gets scraped by this other website called UFO Stalker. And that's really convenient because anybody who's tried to use that MUFON CMS database knows it's pretty unwieldy. And it's difficult to use, and you can't really necessarily get all the information if you're not a paying member of MUFON. And so it's nice having UFO Stalker out there. And so we had seen that this report had come through. It had been submitted to the CMS database from a rideshare driver. So he drives for Uber or Lyft, and